Hello, this is the Watchdog, and welcome back to Fun with Watches. If watches weren't fun, you'd only need one. Today we're going to review the Tayroc TY305 Chronograph. Let's start out with the wrist check. I finally took this away from Grogu. I'm wearing my Pagani Design PD 1692, homage to a Rolex Air King. And Grogu is wearing my Liege 8958, homage to a Tudor Black Bay. Grogu was practicing his pod racing by flying through Beggar's Canyon. Because of the steep canyon walls, Mando lost all radio contact with Grogu. Mando called on his radio, "Grogu, are you out of your gorge?" Grogu responded, "I must be to race one of these stupid things." Okay, let's take a look at the watch. It comes with this box with an outer box, all felt inside. Kind of looks like the box that Paul put his hand in the movie Dune. And then let's open her up. And there's the watch, a Tayroc. Also comes with this little card. You can scan the QR symbol and get the instructions. It also came with this extra strap. I didn't want to stuff it in the box and get everything all scratched up. Of course, everything was covered in plastic when I got it. This is the first Tayroc on my channel. I had never heard of Tayroc until a few months ago. Apparently they are a British company and do not advertise in the US. A few months ago, a certain English YouTuber made a video about Tayroc, about how awful they are and how they paid influencers to promote their watches and how you should be grateful to him for protecting you from such garbage watches. To prove his point, he bought a used Tayroc on eBay and reviewed it. I really hated the tone and condensation of the video, and I wondered why he didn't review a new one. So I googled Tayroc to see just how expensive a new one would be, and the first thing I see is an article that Tayroc got bought out in 2020, and one of the goals of the new owner is to improve their watch lineup. I also see other articles about Tayroc paying influencers, and they were from 2015. So I go to the Tayroc website, and sure enough, they don't even sell the watch he reviewed anymore. I just pictured at a Tayroc meeting. We really got slammed on YouTube the other day. They don't like our new lineup? No, they don't like our old lineup. We don't even sell our old lineup. Good, because he really doesn't like it. How did he even get one? Bought a used one on eBay. Well, why wouldn't he review a new one? Because he didn't like the old one. More than likely, I was still upset about being called an idiot for reviewing a movement watch, but I felt bad for the company being slammed for a watch they don't even sell anymore, so I decided to review one. I did not reach out to Tayroc. This is strictly on my own. So I choose this chronograph, which comes with an extra strap, and pay a whopping $70 for it. Seriously, $70, and it came with an extra strap. What again was I being protected from? So I get the watch in the mail, unboxed it, and although I'm not blown away from the watch, I'm clearly not repulsed by it either. I just don't understand all the hate. For example, I don't hate Hublot, but I can understand why some do because of the massive cost. But why hate a watch company that makes watches for under $200? Are they really ripping anybody off? On a side note, when I recently went to the Tayroc website to get some notes on this watch, apparently they no longer sell it. My goal was to review something from their current lineup, but unfortunately that is not going to happen. I will review it anyway, as it is still a brand new watch and not a used watch from eBay from 6 or 7 years ago. The watch is 44.2 millimeters at the bezel, so it's a fairly big watch. 50.2 millimeters lug to lug, only 10.3 millimeters thick, has a 22 millimeter lug width, and weighs 102 grams on the supplied mesh bracelet. I didn't weigh it on the leather bracelet, but I assume it's going to be lighter on leather. The watch has a smooth outer bezel because the tachymeter is printed on the inner metal shroud. I always complain about watches with tachymeters that don't use the big second hand for the chronograph hand, and that will be in my gripes and groans section, because this is what this one does. As you can see, the main hand is just the running second hand. The dial is black and has a slight sunburst effect. Has the applied Tayroc name at the 3. Applied non-lune baton indices with a double baton at the 12. There are no minute markers, which is kind of a pain because it makes setting the watch a bit harder. You have to wait for 5 minutes if you wanted to set it accurately. Has some pretty thin loomed pencil hands, and the second hand is blue and not loomed. And unfortunately, the blue is a little hard to see on the black background. Has a bordered date window at the fore, and the date wheel is not color matched. The 3 subdials have a much more pronounced sunburst effect. The bottom subdial is the chronograph second hand, the left is the chronograph minute counter, and the top is the sub-seconds. Even though the sub-seconds have 20 positions, it takes 2 seconds to make a lap, so it's really a 1/10 of a second counter. It has a push-pull crown with this little slot down the middle. Not sure what that slot is for, because it's not a screw down. It has only 50 meters of water resistance, so you're not going to take this in the pool anyway. The pushers are not screw down, and thankfully they aren't fake screw downs like a lot of affordable chronographs. The crown action is good. There is no jumping of the minute hand when you go to press it in. Let's say I want to set it right here. Press it in. Minute hand does not jump. The chronograph is your typical chronograph. Here, let me get the hour hand out of the way so you can see it in action. Just push the top pusher, and then the bottom second hand starts ticking, and the top 1/10 of a second counter starts spinning. Press it again to stop it, and press the bottom to reset it. And this is not a mecha quartz, so you don't have that immediate snapback. Then also, since this is you can set the alignment of the hands if you think they're out of line. In fact, I've had this issue quite a bit. When I go to reset the top 1/10 of a second counter, it'll be at the 1 second for some reason. But just go ahead and pull the crown out, then hold down the top pusher, and then you can set the home position of a 1/10 of a second hand. But yeah, this has happened to me several times. Not sure why. I guess that will be in my grapes and groans section. Can't really blame Tayroc for that. That's the movement, and that's a Seiko. The crystal is just a flat mineral glass, no sapphire here. And the case is a solid stainless steel, PVD coated. I actually like the case. Seems to be well made, and this downturn of the lugs is just about perfect, so it wears nice and flat on your wrist, even though this is a big watch. The case back is solid stainless steel press-on. It's a little tongue-in-cheek. If you look at the top, it says principal use, tell the time. And then if you look at the bottom, it says designed by Stewart in England. And then it gives the brand, the model name, the water resistance, and it says all stainless steel. I couldn't find the movement on the specs because they don't sell this watch anymore. I just couldn't find them. So I took the case back off, and it looks like it's a SII VD57C. SII stands for Seiko Instruments Incorporated. So this is indeed a Seiko movement. This is a Japanese movement. It's not a cheap Chinese movement. So if anybody says, oh, this Tayroc uses cheap Chinese movements, they will be lying to you. The mesh bracelet is PVD coated and has quick release. The leather strap also has quick release. Then it has the sign buckle. As you can see, it says Tayroc right there. And this buckle base can be moved. You got these little slots here for positioning. And it looks like I can only move it out about another 1/2 inch. And I have a 7.5 inch wrist. So if you have a wrist bigger than 8, you might not be able to wear it on this bracelet. I don't know if you can move it past this little slot here or not. if you can push it in without breaking it. I'm not going to try because I don't want to break it. Here's the watch on my 7.5-inch wrist. Once again, this is a fairly big watch, but look at that. It wears nice and flat, and it's pretty thin too. So I think you can pull this off unless you have a really tiny wrist like 6.5 or smaller. But if you're bigger than 6.5, I don't think it's going to be an issue. Of course, that's personal preference. If you just don't like a big watch, then this might not be for you. And here's the watch on the supplied leather strap. As you can see, I got another full inch on the leather strap. So if you have a wrist bigger than 8, if you can't wear it on the black mesh, you should be able to wear it on this leather strap. So it should be able to wear it up to 8.5 without having to buy a new strap. But this is a 22mm lug width, so it won't be that difficult to replace the strap if you have a really big wrist. But I don't think that's going to be an issue for most people. I knew the lume was going to be bad just by wearing it, but let's test it anyway. As we speed up the time, it fades almost immediately. This is about the worst lume I've ever seen. What do I like about this watch? Well, I like the fact that both the strap and the bracelet have quick release, making swapping really easy. I like the shape of the case. It's nice and thin, plus these lugs slope down good enough that it wears nice and flat on the wrist, even though this is a big watch. And it's also a very comfortable watch too. This leather strap really doesn't need any breaking period, and the mesh bracelet's really nice too. I like the fact that it has a sub-second indicator, not a stupid 24-hour indicator like that a lot of 3 sub-dial watches have. I like the fact that it has a Seiko movement and not a Chinese-made movement. What are my gripes and groans? The blue second hand is a little bit hard to see on the black dial. The lume is a joke. They might as well not even loomed it at all. No minute markers makes setting the watch kind of a pain. Of course, this is a quartz, so you don't have to set it that often. And the chronograph second hand is in a sub-dial and not the main second hand. And once again, this 1/10 of a second gets out of whack a little bit every time sometimes when you reset it. But I mean, that's fixable. Do I recommend this watch? Yes. And before a few of you get upset like you did when I recommended the movement watch, when I recommend a watch, I do it with the caveat that you like the looks of the watch. I am not an influencer, and I can't make you like something that you don't like. I also do it knowing that most of us are watch collectors and have many watches. I would have a much more strict criteria if this was the only watch you would ever own. I also consider the price. If my Tag Heuer had lume like this, I would be quite upset. I can forgive this $70 Tayroc for having bad lume. Thank you for watching my review of the Tayroc TY305, and I will be back with another review. Be sure and like and subscribe to my channel. I'm getting closer and closer to 1,000. I'm at 966 last time I checked. Bye.